Hi, everyone. Welcome to this live transmission. I have with me a very special guest tonight, depending where you are at right now, in which part of the world. And his name is Helder Campos Collignon. And he's not only an amazing researcher, he adventures himself into all these ancient sites, looking for the deeper answers to how these ancient sites were built. He's an author of two books, and he has had also, like, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we got to meet. You know, guys, that I had also Brian Forrester with me on the show. So Helder, or Elder, depending on how you pronounce it in Spanish or in English, has been participating with him in his trips, explaining some of the things, some of the ancient sites. And he has a very interesting path. I'm just going to try to summarize it, but he also focused on the quantum mechanics, the piezoelectric magnetism, eco-sustainable microclimates, fluid mechanics that are present in the sites. And that led him to investigate as a scientist and follow the path traced by researchers with decades of experience, such as Graham Hancock, Robert Bobble, John Anthony West, Robert Schoch, and the very same Brian Forrester. So, welcome to this show, Helder. How are you?
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm very fine. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm happy to have you. It had been, like we went through a lot of planning until we're finally here. So I'm happy. Last night was, or today actually was a very powerful lunar eclipse. So the energies can definitely be felt, throughout this energetic navigation of what the lunar eclipse brings with it. So all these portals. And speaking of which, let's get to it, shall we? What do you think? I really want to ask you, because from all the places that you have visited, like Egypt, Peru, of course, being one of your specialties, I know that you do tours very often there, to very, we were talking about this, like unknown places that are very important, that you will find things that can definitely break the tissue that it's still trying to keep people limited from knowing, the truth. And so that's where you'd like to dive in. So why don't I let you go ahead and share with us a little bit of the places that you have visited, and which one has been your favorite so far? The one that you have found more, you know, astonishing and overwhelmingly beautiful in many ways.
Well, now that you mentioned, there are several in Peru. Peru is practically full of sites of many evidences of melting stone, of really lost technology in plain sight. So, but most of the remarkable evidence that have found, one of them is in Vilcabamba, that it's in the jungle. Is that's if you see the map in Google Earth or whatever, you see that it's beyond Machu Picchu. I mean, it's kind of complicated to reach there, but it's a structure really amazing. It's from white granite that is huge. It's really huge, and it's in the middle of a mountains, in the middle of a jungle. No quarry nearby. I mean, it's like somebody practically left there that big piece that from one of the sides is melted, just like really melted, and from the other side is cut like shiny polished glass, 90 degrees cuts, and some square knobs stick out from the walls. It has all kind of features. It's really complicated, and to me is one of the most complicated structures in megalithic talking that I have ever seen. And another region that I recently found that I just was given a picture by some guy that wanted to found that place, and I just found it, but I needed a guide to take me there. It's in a region that is called Espinar, that now I included on all my tours since 2024, because Espinar, it's in the middle between Lake Titicaca and Cusco. It's in the middle of the road. It's just a tiny deviation. But Espinar, what features interesting is that has structures really similar than Turkey or Greece. I mean, you find megaliths totally different from the rest of Peru, and things that you found in that other places in Turkey or Greece that you say, how can this be here? It's exactly the same that what I have seen in pictures in that sites. So
Okay.
those two places are really remarkable things to see.
Would you say that the structures that you mentioned in the first place, because for the ones that are already aware of the ancient sites in Peru, if we mention Pumapunku or Ollantaytambo, or like they will be very familiar to them. But for the ones that doesn't, um, while you would you say that any of the structures that you found in that first place are correlated to the ones in Pumapunku, those H stones?
Well, some of the cuts can resemble, because there are many pieces around also that has perfectly cuts. Just the material, of course, is different. Even Machu Picchu has the use of white granite, so it should be a purpose because Machu Picchu is nearby in the area and has the megalithic part of Machu Picchu is white granite also. So in here, there are two sites. One is Rosaspata and the other one is Ñusta Hispana. And the both of the sites, one has a structure and the other has walls, megalithic walls, really ancient, but are also from white granite. So I guess that locations needed for a purpose that white granite structures. Compare with Ollantaytambo, Ollantaytambo has more megalith stuff, similar to Cusco, that has andesite walls, megalithic walls, and also has on the top, and that is what is called the Sun Temple, some big blocks that looks like the red granite that you found in the inside of the Great Pyramid in Egypt. That is quite amazing, the comparison. And also
I'm
Puma Punku is andesite. And what?
I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in a little bit because
Okay.
before you share with all of us all these treasures that you have found, just because perhaps some of the audience, the beautiful Soul Tribe, are not very familiar to these sites. So I just want to share to show to them the Pumapunku ancient Andean site is one of the most famous that brings a lot of attention due to they call it the H structures. You were telling me about your finding in Teotihuacan in Mexico, one of these structures. Can you tell us a little bit about your finding regarding to the magnetic field that they were showing?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, and into Tehuacan in the Quetzalcoatl pyramid, that is the farthest one and the less touristic one. In one of the sites, you can find one, let's say a kind of an H block. I mean, it's similar, but it's not the same. But it's an H form, so maybe it's the same purpose. And in Pumapunku, if you use the compass inside of the H blocks, the compass is just spin like crazy. And there are like a some sort of a mold because it has an H block on it and another features of cuts that it has also many of the pieces in Puma Punku has magnetism. So it means that in a point or either the tool that was used to cut these stones or to move it was magnetic, or this site host or hold a big magnetic power plant or whatever for a purpose, because it is andesite that is not magnetic rock, but it has magnetism on it even thousands and thousands of years later.
Yeah, I agree. Like throughout my findings and my research, when I do my Indiana Jones quest in some places here in Mexico, I have found that when we see anomalies on the surface, is not only because perhaps the electric current of the earth itself is showing that anomaly, yet because perhaps there could be some ancient technologies, like devices that are provoking that, and this type of structures are signaling and being the receptors of that field that is being generated by the machines underground, still underground. So you also said that you have been finding the other type of structures like these ones in Mexico, right? As well, like not only in Teotihuacan, yet also in in Mexico, in Mexico City, behind one of the colonialist castles, right?
Oh yeah, in Chapultepec Castle, in the back part. Well, it's in near the entrance, but it's in at the bottom of the hill. There's what is called Moctezuma petroglyph. That more than a petroglyph, it's really a megalithic cuts. It's like something that shaped like this, and it's polished in one part, and it's also what is called in Peru the Inca throne or Inca chair. Is one of the same. That of course they say it was for rulers, but it's a cut in the natural rock on the bedrock. So for do that in that ages is just needed requires the lost technology. And when I saw that in that Moctezuma petroglyphs that have been before in Peru, I said this is the same. It's the same guys were here.
Yeah, it's impressive. I love how how everything is adequated based on the perception, the level of perception that each person has. It's like everyone who comes, perhaps they will say, "Oh, those are giant thrones, or they're king thrones, or they were part of a bigger mechanical structure, like very advanced technology that would serve for a very high purpose in relation to the whole structure." Here I'm showing some images of these Inca thrones that you're talking about, right?
Exactly. Yeah, Cusco is full of them.
Which one has been the rarest, like the most impactful for you to see?
Um, Well, one, it's in a remote place that is also complicated to reach. There's a highway that goes there, but it's really far from Cusco. It's where is the located a stone that is called the Saihuite stone. That is a magnetic one and it has like a several features very strange, and also have some Inca thrones there. But the most one in Cusco that is really easy to see for everybody that goes on a tour or whatever. Well,
Uh-huh.
not on a common tour because tour guides never go to that part. It's in Sacsayhuaman, but in Sacsayhuaman in the non-touristic part that is reachable, but it's like you need someone that knows there, and it is called it just said Inca throne, but it has like a seven chairs or seven thrones that is like this, like a two stairs binding in a center point, and it's really polished so much that even the sunlight it shines there.
Wow. Wow. I can imagine like some type of like the boxes that we find in the Serapeum in Sahara in
Yeah,
Egypt. You know, that level of polished. And which rock? Granite, did you say?
it's andesite. In Sacsayhuaman, it's andesite.
On the side. Okay, so now I'm showing a little bit of pictures you know, to see, to let the people see, you know. I know that these blocks, you know, like the megaliths are super, you know, famous and worldly known in Peru, and these ones were the ones that you were referring to about the constructions that you also find in Greece, right? And in, and also in Turkey, you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we also find it in Egypt. uh, what would you say, what is your approach, you know, your explanation of why these rocks are showing such a huge asymmetry? You know, why are they not, you know, like mold mated?
Well, practically, I don't. To me, what I stated in my books is like they don't use molds because it's complicated. It's like let's say that we do it that way. We use a mold. We pour there like cement or whatever, or uh, dust of rock. Then we put it water. Then when it's hardened, then we put away the mold and we use that piece. But it's that's too complicated, too primitive. For a wall like that you're showing is like practically it's more easy if you have the whole wall with a material like lava, for a way to say it, or like
Volcanic
uh,
rock.
yeah,
Yeah.
volcanic rock, but in a state of magma, or in a
Uh-huh.
softer state, or like plastiline, or magma cooling down. But
Okay.
before it hardens, you just with something just made the cuts, and then you have all one from each together. Because well, one thing that you can observe and that I pointed on my tours in Sacsayhuaman is that you found several broken bubbles in the stones in Sacsayhuaman. That means that was a rapid cooling of the
Yeah.
rock, and it means that it was volcanic, and it was in a point it was softer or magma state. That's the evidence. So in a way, that rock, I don't think that they brought it from elsewhere, like just carrying the rock. I think that it was poured there, like a pouring magma or something there, in a soft state, and then they started to shape it and cool it down for the purpose that they needed.
You know, now that you're saying this, it reminds me of the some evidence that we have found in the Bugas here, that it has huge porosity, and that porosity is telling us a story that there was a type of similar process that you were talking about. You know, like you have a very high temperature, then you cool it down, and then it provokes, you know, like the molecules to actually compress so much that then it generates like that explosion, those bubbles exploding. So due to the two temperatures, high temperatures from different polarities, you know, coming together. So now I know that there are many theories, and you, beloved, feel free to comment how you think they were made, or any questions that you have for Helder. And so there are different theories. The other one that I have heard of is when that at some point they are geopolymers, you know, like complex forms of geopolymers, because some of them are showing even, you know, like that phosphorescence. Other way that it's more how I believe it, because we have also, you and I talked about this, you know, like there are different stages of creation of what we see today. You know, like you have this big these monoliths, and then you have smaller stones that were piled together, trying to emulate or follow the sequence that the foundations of these places, ancient sites, have. So in the case of this I can also very much relate to plasma physics. You know, I know that it hasn't been proved yet in lab, but that doesn't mean that the ancient civilizations didn't have that advanced form of technology. And plasma physics involves, you know, like stimulating at such a high wave magnitude, like let's say manipulating the space, the Planck plasma in the space, and accelerating it, stimulating it all the way that you start to manipulate, to shape the rock itself. So it involves also that interaction of high temperatures and low temperatures. Like you have cold plasma and you have like high level plasma that is, like even being stimulated, such as we would say, the solar plasma. We have all those type of plasma, but just bringing it into the table, that's how I feel. Not all of the structures, but many of them. And the fact that they had different shapes in the rocks, in the blocks, is because each one has a different attunement. It's like each one is a different keynote that generates a different frequency. So when you play them all together, like as an infrasound, as they are right now playing themselves just by existing, and the interaction that they have with all the particles, and the very same field, electromagnetic field of the earth coming and pulsing, is like playing them, and but almost like at an infrasound level. So they are creating a symphony. They're creating a symphony that leads to a higher purpose. I want to ask you, and of course, if you whatever you want to say about what my theory, or anything else, of course. But I want to ask you, have you ever played the rocks, like having a tuning fork and playing them?
No, I haven't so far, but I have brought people that has brought the electronic microscope, and they prove it about the high temperature. I mean that it was like a magma state in a point with a with an electronic microscope, that more bubbles inside and some burning and stuff was like appear on the microscope. But I mean, for sure, it's an unknown technique. I mean, either what you're saying, or I think it's something that we try to tie stuff to what we use and how we do it. But this is like you need to completely wipe out your way
Exactly.
of thinking and say, okay, what this place tells me, not how is logic or how is like how humankind will do it. Is how this place tells me. Even it sounds crazy or super advanced, is like I think is more accurate.
Yeah, I fully agree. One of my dearest friends once told me, like, we are meant to think as galactics, not as, humans in a way that, how they have limited the state of awareness, because we are also cosmic beings, we're galactics, different race, but in that manner, which is exactly what you're saying. If you want to unravel and understand how all of these ancient structures were created, think beyond the box, think as the ones that built them, not. But again, if you think that there was a thousands of slaves bringing blocks through the Nile.
No way.
Yeah, I mean, but just to go a little bit on that, what do you think is going to happen now with the disclosure? Like everything that is happening, what you have seen, how you have seen things unraveling there in Peru, like regarding to the Department of Archaeology. How do you think all of this will tie it up together?
Well, the archaeology in Peru is like, well, and mostly in everywhere, is like either they don't care and they abandon the site or don't promote it or like put it hidden away as possible, or they know but they don't give the money or the permission to dig. It's like Sacsayhuaman, they always knew that has a tunnel, that has a deep, more underground, because when you are there, you are seeing pieces of the wall going down. I mean, there's practically the whole hill is the structure, because I have walked around, and when you walk it, around, is like you notice there is several levels until Cusco from that structure. So probably the hill was even artificial, maybe. But I mean, they always knew about it. Just they made public because they clean up the space, or they are cleaning up the space. It's like in Egypt, I think, when they publish a discovery, I mean, from part of the government, they clean up what doesn't fit. But it's not that they don't know that there are things that doesn't fit. They know. They keep it. It's the same in Peru. So what they do is like they don't dig in Sacsayhuaman because they have the Inti Raymi celebration, and it's like a lot of money for them. So the explanada there, the flat land there, they won't dig it because they will lose that kind of festivals. And they have said that to some archaeology friends that I work with. So they say, no, I won't give permission. I know there is more inside, but I won't give the permission. So let's see what about when they prepare the tunnel for tourists. I mean, there's a lot of time to reach that point, but because the tunnel goes from there, from Sacsayhuaman to the Coricancha, there is a megalithic temple that is in the middle of Cusco.
Yeah, I was listening. So there is now that you're saying that, I was looking at the pictures. I mean, come on, it looks like it goes way deeper. You know, it's like definitely doesn't stop there. Uh, what is your feeling when you encounter these scenarios? When your passion tells you that there is so much more to discover, and you you see the reality that is just settling for what it's already there. It's the, like the path of evolution. Like if you find someone, and that person has done a fairly amount of shadow work, let's say, but there is a lot still to dive in more, but that person or the collective is like, oh, that's enough, that's fair enough, I'm comfortable, the comfort zone, let's stay there, let's keep it simple. I think that this is a reflection of that. How people it's afraid to go deeper into the truth. You know, what has been your biggest finding? I remember that you told me about a museum that you found. Well, kind of a museum, right? And there was this huge anomaly. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember. Yeah, that was an accident. Accidentally, we found it. I was with some guys from a tour that we wanted to find some stones that looks like a Stonehenge near the Lake Titicaca. That was our goal
Wow.
because I saw it in internet and I located. And so to the driver in the Lake Titicaca area, I asked. We wanted to go there, so we tried to reach there. But in the way, we were asking to some villager nearby, and he said there was an old guy in a bicycle and said, "Ah, that's kind of more further, but follow me. We have another side more interesting." And I said, "Okay, follow him." So we follow him, and then we arrive into in a village, a really poor area in the edge of with Lake Titicaca. That's located near the border with Bolivia, and he showed us a site that isn't in plain sight that has some stones, very magnetic. I think even more magnetic than the H blocks in Pumapunku.
Wow.
Rough state, of course, because really old, not restored. And they said, we have called the government to be here, and they haven't never respond. So I said, wow, this is a golden mine because this has not touched by archaeologists. Anything has been moved. This is like from forever being here. And they also show us a small room that they built, like a kind of a museum, where inside it has a lot of stone balls, statues like the ones in Tiwanaku and Pumapunku, with the Piracocha and stuff like that. Really similar to Tiwanaku and Pumapunku. And even they point us that this site was in a straight line to Pumapunku and Tiwanaku.
Uh-huh.
And they show me a special stone that looks like when you have a chewing gum and after chewing is like, you know, that form, but polish. I mean, like this shape, rough shape, but
Oh,
polish,
I see.
shiny,
I see.
and
I see. Yeah.
it was blue color. And they said touch it, and when I touch it, you are touching a metal. I mean, you're hearing a metal sounding. So I was, wow, what is this? And also they told us that they put away, they closed a tunnel that was they described as a megalithic tunnel that even goes to the lake, and that in the nights shines a light from it. But they were scared, so they closed that tunnel. So I can guess that some device or something still inside, because also when we were there we were very tired, like a big magnet. When you go to magnet therapy, you're so relaxed that you feel like not tired in a bad way, but like relaxed, like when you are like, oh, okay, I'm feeling like really relaxed, or like that. Well, that was the feeling, not only me but the driver and the other passengers.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, I'm showing some images of some Paracas skull, but like I know it's like there are other places that they have seen that type of rock that it's like bent, like super bent, like even like when you take a piece of fabric and you just crush it and then you have the fabric folding, like that, those type of foldings. This is what you say, like that level of manipulation of the rock, and yet that it's so advanced, so highly advanced. It's impressive. You go to these places in your tours, right?
Yeah, yeah. The next one included, because it's on the way to Bolivia, on the way to Lake Titicaca. So practically it's just a deviation from the road, but yeah.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, we have already spoken of doing a tour. So if you guys are also want to tune in and join us later, mainly, mostly, stay tuned for the information. If you are, like curious about what will it look like, and the type of tour that we will be designing, stay tuned for all the information. And aside of that, the Helder, I'm going to say Helder, otherwise it sounds like another thing.
Yeah,
Like from old, elder from old.
exactly. No, Helder.
Yeah, Helder. So yeah, Helder, you can reach out. I will be his all of his information will be in the description below this video, so that you can contact directly with him. He has a tour company. All the details will be there, and also at the end of this live transmission, we will be going through those aspects. So another thing, so you were mentioning like it's impressive. I you spoke of the positive influence that a place can have in your field, which I agree. I have been, for instance, in the temples in Egypt, then Dera, you go there and you don't want to leave there. It's like I can stay here and use the top floor as my bedroom. It's okay, I'll take care of the temple. But now let's go to the other aspect of it. Have you ever been in a place there that you feel that your energy is, leaked?
Like drown for
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Like sucked.
Yeah, yeah. There are some caves in near Lake Titicaca that I was warned that not enter to one of the is some towers that is called chulpas by the Incas, but it's really a megalithic towers. But it's a place. There's a place that is part of the tours that is Siustani, but there's another place that is called Cutimbo. That's kind of remote and not touristic, and there's a lot of burial there and stuff like that. So when I enter inside this tower, of course I felt it like a warning, like a don't go further. But don't listen to warnings or whatever, or the feelings. And after that, I was so bad that I even ended in a hospital
Oh,
in
wow.
Cusco. So after that, I always listen the advices of local guides, because there's a lot of what they call and what is called guardians in the places, because we have many energetic stuff going in Peru. I mean, if you go to a waterfall, there's a guardian there. You need to
Absolutely.
ask permission on all the sites, and it's what I try to teach also in the tours, that showing the respect and ask permission to the sites and stuff, because they are so special that not also have energy, but also there are beings there that you sometimes feel it, and if you don't do the right things, you'll be, yeah, uh, without energy later.
Tell me, what were your symptoms that you ended up in in the hospital?
Well, I was like p- at the beginning was very tired, but more than the usual, because it was just beginning the tour. So I was like, this is not normal. I mean, I do this every time, so it's like, what happened to me? And later, I feel it more and more tired. And then there was a dinner of some passenger that was the birthday of his wife, and everybody was happy, but I was like, in another frequency and stuff like that. Like I like I didn't belong or something, like it was like about to retire. Like, okay, I'm here, but it's like I'm not here. And after that, I was feeling so bad that I faint out.
Mm.
And then one of the anthropologists that I work with, he took me to the hospital because I was so bad that I needed serum in the
Yeah,
vein and stuff like that.
yeah, all
But
the
yeah.
food. Wow.
And
Well,
I
thank
even, when I arrived here in Mexico, I went to see the doctor and said, "Wow, how you are alive? Your blood pressure is like below the floor. I mean, you cannot be even stand out with that. You should be like dead or faint."
Wow.
But yeah,
Well, that's the thing, like there are many ways to see it because it all comes to energy. That's the way that we can unify, or read into what you experience, like uh, guardians just read resonance, and if you're not in the and in the right resonance for a place, and that resonance can be whether low frequency or high frequency, then your body shows it and collapse at different levels. So, well, thank you for sharing that story, and I'm happy that that you listen more
yeah,
to the, yeah, to the advice of the, because the people there is super wise as well. From my experience, they know how it all works. I mean, that's why they live there. Their
exactly.
souls chose to be there. They are guardians disguised in humans, some of them. So that leads me to the next question. You have a lot of archaeologists as friends there in Peru. And have you ever told you about things that they have ran into that are non-human, besides the skulls that are famously known as the Paracas skulls, which are not the only ones? Have they told you about devices that they have ran into, and as it happens in Egypt, as it happens in Mexico, like they immediately classify it and as modern, or as whatever.
Well, yeah. One of them that is he's kind of old, and he's on all the tours with Brian Forster. And this he's an anthropologist, and yeah, of course he knows many things, and he even discovered cities in the jungle. He has a book about a city that is bigger than Machu Picchu, but that is called Cantupata, and that the government didn't give him the money for unburied all the complex. But he was surprised that in that city there is a natural advanced self-sustained system that with the rain and stuff made some microclimate that also works for harvesting, even if the environment is hostile. So he told me that that's so advanced. But about none of this world, well, yeah, I have heard stuff, but it's like they don't even tell me the details because they cannot. I can tell you that I encountered with a thing out of this world
Oh,
myself.
tell us, tell us. Well,
I
if you
can't.
want
I
to
can't.
share. Oh, you can't. You can't.
No. I will tell you later why, but yeah.
Okay, okay.
But I mean, there are things, but Peru is like you name it and you found it. It's like has everything there. I mean, when you go there, you'll see what I mean. But it's like I mean, you have more access to see the stuff than in Egypt that is controlled by the militaries or whatever, or in Mexico by the bad guys or whatever. Many territories are like dangerous to enter and stuff like that. But in the case of Peru, it's like you just need to find the right guy that takes you to that remote place, and that's it. Because I mean, there's an abandoned place, but it doesn't mean that it's like a risky or like that the government don't allow to enter. And they control Cusco, but just there. But if you go out of Cusco, most of the places don't even have a caretaker or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing because I think that we need more of that. Actually, I think that we need more of that. In Mexico, there are also a lot of places like that. Egypt is way more controlled. We know that mainly in the desert. What let's talk a little bit about something that has blown on your mind regarding to something that you discovered on a symbol that like making a whole network correlation in between ancient civilizations. For instance, there is this place that I love. I haven't been there yet. I will. We will. And it's that they call it the Moon Temple.
Okay.
Okay, what do you think about that temple? Do they call it? I will show some pictures, but do you know if they call it the Moon Temple? It has nothing regarding to the temple. Does it has like any specific alignment to the moon, or why has that name been given to it?
I haven't made full research because I haven't been there because it's kind of complicated to go there because you need to pay an entrance, a special entrance to Machu Picchu that includes the Huayna Picchu that is kind of a task for everybody's needs and you need to be hiker to go there
Oh,
and you need to climb the as I was told the Huayna Picchu and then from the other side get it down and reach that moon temple and then go back another again. And so my legs, let's say that are not on that shape to deal with that.
I see.
And it's yeah, it's more for hikers. But there's a place similar to that one that is it's called by Brian Forster and many researchers Naupahuaca, but by the people in Cusco it's called Ñaupa Iglesia or Ñaupa Huaca. That Ñaupa means ancient or very ancient, and Huaca means sacred cave. That is it's really similar to that one, but it's quite the same amazing stuff because well, as you if you can notice in the Moon Temple there are megaliths that are attached to a big rock, but this other one, this is now Pahuaca or Ñaupa Iglesia,
Yeah,
it's a single piece of stone polished and cut just the rock and a false door or window, and it has also that you're showing that is a throne, but it's more like there's in Ollantaytambo you found a fountain, exactly the same. But that design, when you touch it, when you're there, is so complex and so polished and so advanced that when you saw that in person, it's like you say, "This is Atlantean or whatever." I mean, it's like you just see that guys were there, and in the other sides of the wall, I mean, that's like in the front, but in
yeah.
on another of the walls is that feature that is like the false door. And that place yeah once we were late there like in the evening, and I was told that people have seen some creatures or beings or whatever when the sun sets, And once, not on purpose, but because we were late, we get the sunset there. And when we get down, the local guy that I work with that knows a lot about ancient civilization and guardians and stuff. And when I stayed with him alone, and the passengers were getting down in the meantime, and I noticed him very strange. And we were watching the structure that they're showing, by the way. And I said to him, it's true that there are some kind of beings that are there sometimes and appear. And he said to me, in fact, they are around us right now.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay. And when we get it down, he was like uh, staring and staring to the place, and we're getting down because it's in the middle of a mountain inside of a cave. But you need to climb like a lot of stairs to go there, like let's say like the pyramid of the sun stairs, that kind of amount of stairs.
Okay.
And when we get down, he took some pictures, and when we get to the van, he showed me, and he captured one of the beings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because one picture showing the let's say the front face and has some kind of horns. I don't know what it seems, and the arms and stuff. And the other picture were like turning the face, and so you can see the movement. But yeah, we captured that there.
Wow, that's awesome. I have pictures of myself, like people took photos of me while going through stargates. And in my case, my face became like a lion. And in other one, my body disappeared. You can just see my clothes. And but I mean, and it's not a port like a stargate like this. I mean, for me, I tap into this, and this is a huge stargate, you know. Of course it had also other purposes, but you're talking about a false door behind it. So I'm definitely seeing beings coming in and out. It brings me also to Anamuru. Let's show a picture,
Yeah,
um, because this is also a very famous one.
yeah, it's a special one. That's a special one too, and it has energy on it. And yeah, Amarumuru is quite a thing. It's near the shores of Lake Titicaca. It's beside the highway that goes to Bolivia. It's on the way to go to Bolivia. And yeah, it's one of my, let's say, from Lake Titicaca is one of my favorite spots because it's so enigmatic, and being there is like special.
I can imagine. Do you see any others, like this is the whole complex, or are there more things to explore around that are seen
There are
officially?
things to explore around. There are many features. There are one that looks like a melted structure with some melted stairs that is not showing in any picture, but I mean, I stopped there to see it. And behind that door, there's some petroglyph and some what I call proto blocks because looks like a blocks megalithic blocks information, but like a halfway process and several other structures. I mean, it's quite a place to be there, like a more than 1 hour.
Huh. I can imagine. Is it to visit it is one of the places that you cover throughout your tours?
Yeah, of course.
Do you have like a time limit, or people can just be there for a whole day and camp there?
I mean, for a tour, I mean, it's a time limit because you need to. It's on the way to Bolivia, so when I go there, it's like in sunrise to be at the first time of the morning in Bolivia to do Pumapunku and Tiwanaku. But I mean, of course, if you want, you can be there like whatever you want. I mean, for permission of the caretakers is like no problem.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, let's design our own our own tour. Helder, hey, one another thing mentioned the Lake Titicaca. Tell us a little bit about it, because that's also a very enigmatic place. Have you heard of any ancient site that is under the water?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's full of not one. I mean, from villagers and stuff, I have heard that many structures and stuff have been found inside the lake. Even I once saw a structure that was near the edge of the lake, but the villager told me it was a big block, and the villager told me that when he was a little boy, the water reached that level, and that structure was under the water. And when was under the water, they were warned by their fathers that don't approach that magical stone because the stone was spinning.
Oh, wow.
They say that, and that stone was very magnetic in all the points. Was it like a square block just laid down there? And yeah, you saw the sand and stuff that tells you that it was recently. I mean, like I don't know, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, under Lake Titicaca. So, and also in the museum that I found near the border of Bolivia, the one that we were talking about, the villagers told me that if you want, in and for our next time, if you have time, we can take you to the lake because there's a temple under the water on the edge of our village. So to them, is normal to talk about structures under the lake.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now that you mentioned this rock that was spinning, it brought me to the Bethels that are in Petra in Jordan, one of the places, because there you can find them in Israel, you can find them in South Asia. You can, I mean, in just in the south part of Yemen, the southern part of Yemen, you can find them. And these cubic structures that they would relate as power sources to bring in the divine force. Let's say plasma physics again. Have you found those type of rocks there or something similar? I mean, the very same stones all over the temples are so sharp and, like 90 degrees laser cut. It's impressive. It's impressive. Um, Also, those the one that we were seeing, the the one that looks like the Moon Temple. That one is was carved from the rock, carved. Like all the other temples in Egypt. Or in Mexico, like
Yeah,
Maninalco. That's impressive. It reminds me a lot of Petra, Jordan.
yeah, indeed. Even this place, Amarumuru, when I saw it, it reminds me about Petra. Just like say like unfinished, but there it has a tiny detail on the cut that tells you more that is related to Petra, but it is not showing on the pictures on the internet. I have it on my book, that detail and on close up, but when you are there, of course I'm going to point it to you, but you will see, oh, this is the same.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you brought that up because that's what I was feeling when I was seeing the red rock and the type of, laser carving. I was like, wow, this is like Petra.
Yeah, exactly. It is for a tiny detail that I has on the top. It's just one of the corner, and also that tells me that was unfinished because the in one part is like the finished cut, and there's a part that is no cut. So it's like what happened here. So they were polishing, maybe the final work was about to be the same that in Petra, but they stopped it for a way.
Hmm. For a reason and a
Yeah.
specific reason. Do you think that this disclosure movement will mobilize the institutions there in Peru, and so that they start digging a little bit more? Or do you think like there will be like archaeologist citizens, as Matt Lecroix refers to the ones that start doing that work, and start doing their own research and excavations and so forth and bringing out to the light. Do you think something happening like that there?
I don't think so because, as I told you, they know. But I have heard them also that in Cusco, they found many stuff when they dig for pipes or stuff, and they have the order of cover it again and put the construction on top. One example is even if you research on the web, you will find a news that is from 10 years ago or more than 10 years ago, I think 12 years ago, that they uncovered megalithic structures inside one of the main avenues near the Plaza de Armas in Cusco. And when I saw the pictures, there was a perfectly square blocks, polished, lots of evidence of high technology, and just they cover the game, they place again the avenue, and that's it. So practically all Cusco is like they know that it's full of structures, but they just don't want to uncover.
Hmm. Well, call me a dreamer or an idealist, yet I feel that a lot of things will be unravel on the upcoming years. You know, I'm not saying that it's going to be an easy ride. I just think that even the presence of the Galactics will be and will be helping, will be supporting this. Which brings me to the next question: have you found by yourself type of paracas skulls, elongated skulls, in other museums that or in places or with people, like they live in their villages and they tell you, hey, like we found this. Ta-da.
Only museums in Cusco. There are several museums that has that kind of skulls, and also in a museum near Lake Titicaca, in also I think in Lima too. But yeah, in Cusco that you can find several. But in a discovery by or villagers, no, I have not encountered that.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering, like this magical place that you ran into, where they have their own museum and so forth, perhaps throughout all the quest, because I really want to transmit to the beautiful tribe watching this transmission that Helder really does the research and goes to places that most people don't go to, and this is one of the things that why we are in so much resonance, because we like to dive in where a lot of people or most people won't, you know because then you get to see the virgin aspects of these sites. And so, yeah. Um, tell us any other thing that you want to share with us about your books, about your tours. What do you enjoy the most about having started this path of research in the Peruvian ancient technology?
Well, to me, it's like, as you say, is something that I enjoy, really. I mean, Peru to me has become like a second home, mainly Cusco. When I'm there, like, I feel like I'm at home. And all the sites has their own magic. I mean, the first time that I went there was in a tour with Brian Foster, that later I ended working with him in a tour in Mexico in 2023. But I mean, I didn't imagine any of that when I was going to that tour in 2017. And that I was following him and Hugh Newman and all the researchers in their channels and for the program engineering and stuff like that, and books that I have already from Graham Hancock. And but when I was in the field, I mean, one thing is that you saw the video, for example, in Brian Foster's channel, and show you the stuff. But when you are there and you touch the stones and you saw that is real, it's like, oh my God, this is real. This is not fiction. These people exist, and I'm touching that civilization in this rock, in this space, in this stuff. And from there, I got the contacts and stuff, and I mean everything went by itself. And I studied physics, and that let's say that I started to apply what I studied in the sites, because I noticed that the sites were like applied physics, like mechanical fluids and stuff like that, because they use much water in the sites, running from channels, open air channels, but megalithic cut to increase the speed of water for our properties and stuff like that. So it's like the sites told you that stuff. And then I decided to start to write, more than write, to show in the books, because the books are has a lot of photographs, because it's like showing the evidence. That's why the first book is called Evidence Stone of the Science of a Lost Era, because it's like it's a time that is lost. I mean, we don't know when was that, and it's a science that is different to our science because it's another way of thinking. So in the first book, I just stated the coincidence and the similitudes of Egypt, Peru, Bolivia, Mexico, and in the second one, I just conclude more about the melting the stone and the possible techniques and about the possible use or technology of the sites because any of the sites were temples. I mean, were temples for the Incas, for the Egyptians, for the Mayas, for the Aztecs, but they founded the sites. And for the energy that the sites has, that's why they consider temples and sacred. But in the important thing is to find the original purpose that were like power plants or uh, driving the energy in some way or whatever.
Have you, now that you're mentioning this, have you seen watermarks in some of the temples, like that level of erosion, like what we see in the Sphinx, for instance?
Oh yeah, one was in one of the tours in October 2023. I got from one of the passengers were scientists, a Chinese scientist. So he
Mhm.
knows a lot, and he was sharing with me information. And he pointed me. We that time we went a trip to a region that is called Cajamarca, and Cajamarca has some funeral, structures, but it was in a top of a hill in the mountains in that region, and he showed me the water erosion level, and he said this is severely eroded by water, and that's where the water level. And he said either this structure was sea level and something really big put this at this height that I mean it's known that the Andes were formed by a super violent crush of the plates and stuff like that, or the water reached this level. And he said to me, and look where we are. And after he showed me that, I mean, even right now I'm feeling like, like chicken skin when I
Yeah,
remember that, because it was he said the first time that he said when he saw the structure, he said, "Oh my God, this structure has 500,000 or million years, give it or take, of erosion." And I was like, "Really? Wow!" So it's like, I
yeah.
mean, yeah, Peru has a lot of stuff like that, and in the region that I found in Espinar, there's one of the structures that looks like Turkey. When you go inside, there's another entrance that is severely eroded by water that looks like a coral.
Mm.
So, and they say that in ancient times, I mean, like more than 10 years ago, there was a lake. So it means that the structure needed to be built before that was a lake. So,
Wow, that's impressive. How do you connect all the dots with the structures that show erosion and the ones that doesn't, that are not as high as the ones that show erosion? Would you place them, after, even if they look more sophisticated, apparently in technology, because the ones are already eroded? How do you try to put together the dots?
one thing can be that they are later, as you say, that later period for another civilization that comes after that. What I have learned is as bigger as older. Bigger blocks means older,
Good one.
and first civilization, what is called by the Egyptians the first time, the Septepi.
Yeah.
But the most perfect ones, like the H blocks or the Coricancha in Cusco, or I mean Sacsayhuamán is really eroded, but there are like Ollantaytambo, for example. Either that structures were covered by something, I don't know, gold plates or crystals or whatever, that received the impact and the erosion and later disintegrate but protect the megalithic structure, or were built later.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, that's a good, that's a good approach to it, because for me, some of them could definitely be like at the same range of age, you know. Honestly, like when we see old, I remember that Ryan Forster shared with me an image of a structure that you see, like it's almost like tracing the map of a city, what it seems like. It's like a stone, it's also kind of eroded, not related to the water, but it's pretty eroded. And then it's also like mapping or showing like a big connection that it's aligned to the chacana, like some coordinates, related to the chacana. I think that a good way to say, to put together all these dots is also if they are connected to the same stars. Like for instance, I was talking the other day with David Cerita, and we are looking how, for instance, the Ndera temple is connected all the way to the Mary Magdalene temple in Jerusalem. Like if you draw a line, it will take you there. Of course, they are not the same age, of course, but they were following. So perhaps there is something under that temple of Mary Magdalene, and they're just building above, like, it's the same old story. They see something, they start building up above, and so forth. So um what do you think is one of the most important constellations or star systems that these ancient sites are connected to?
Well, I think as in Egypt, mostly the Orion's belt, Sirius,
Okay.
practically. I think so because even here in Guadalajara, in my area, there's the Huachimontones pyramids,
Oh yeah. Let
and
me.
they have been proved that are aligned like the pyramids in Egypt uh, to the Orion's belt.
I love Huachimontones, and we have structures like that ones in Peru, right? What's the name of the structures in Peru? The ones that,
Uh, the circles,
yeah, but they are like all the way
yeah,
the
like backwards, yeah, like the negative part.
inwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not a structure. It's more like they dig in a mountain. Practically, they put away the material, and they made circles. Whoever did it, but of course, it's from megalithic times. It is called morai.
Morai.
Yeah,
Okay, so we guys, this is Huachimontones. I want to show a picture from above. This is one of the few ancient sites in Mexico that shows this pattern, this type of circular structure. Um, I think this one could be, like from above. And we see like
yeah,
this cubic structures that are around it. It's not only one, there are
exactly.
several ones. I love this
And
place.
the circles, there are three circles. One is big. This is the middle, and there's another small that forms the Orion's belt.
I see. Okay, let me trying to find a picture, but there is no one that. And here we also have this one in Michoacan. What's the name of this one in Michoacan?
I don't
Uh,
know that one.
yeah, this is in Michoacan. This is the Michoacan is
Okay.
also a super powerful place. But anyway, okay, so yeah, I love this structure in Huachimontones. If people ask, do you also do tours here in Mexico or just in Peru for now?
Well, I'm get hired, of course I do in Mexico, but mostly I'm focused in Peru because works differently and is more complicated often. But in my region, at least, yeah, I have taken people and some foreign people that wants to see the Huachimontones. There are also stone spheres, like the ones in Bosnia and Costa Rica, that is called Piedra Bola, that is near Guadalajara, like hour and a half. It is on the same road to the Huachimontones. And there's another side that is called El Palacio de Como that has some megalithic blocks too.
Yeah. Well, it's what would you say it's the purpose of those balls of these spheres?
I think nobody has an idea, but what I have found is that there's a lot of magnetism in the rocks, but really a lot. Like even the same amount of magnetism that in the H blocks. If you have a compass, you go through all the walls of these structures and become crazy.
Mhm. Well, it would be very interesting to see them powered up to see what like that electric field that would be creating, like that communion of their magnetic field and the electric field, creating that vortex. That would be very, very interesting to see what in that time at that time would be producing, the electric field. um yeah, well, how can people reach out to you? I think that we will be having another a show at some point, when we have ready the tour to Peru, to share with everyone who is interested. Again, just to clarify, Helder does these tours all the time. We just met, and we will be co-creating one. Stay tuned, because some guests will also be showing in the field that will be part of this tour. And but anyway, like, how can people reach you?
Well, there's in the social media, that you can look for me in Instagram or Facebook as Megalithic Evidence. And also, I have my YouTube channel as Megalithic Evidence. And in the YouTube channel, you can see all these places that we were talking about in the site, the explanation in the site.
Okay, and how about your books? What are the titles of your books? You said the first one. Do you want to share the second one, and where can
Yeah,
people
of
find
course.
it?
Well, okay, I can show it even.
Okay, oh, cool.
I have here the first one, but it's in
Okay,
Spanish, the name, but it's
let me
uh,
oh,
Evidence in Stone
hold on.
of the Science of the Lost Era. And the second one, it's in English and Spanish, and it's called The Masters of the Stone, Water, and the Sun.
That's beautiful. Well, we also have to go through all those places. I mean, I was even thinking about Eastern Island. For me, Eastern Island is a place that has always, like, caught my attention. And would you relate it to, I know it's connected to Stonehenge, like in a ley line. Would you connect it to another place in Peru based on the type of constructions?
Yeah, they have a wall exactly the same of polygonal wall than the ones in Cusco. Exactly the same. And by the way, I will have a tour in December to Easter Island.
Oh, cool. So now you know, if you want to join Helder in his Eastern Island tour, just reach out to him. And I also want to explore and dive in more into Turkey. I think Turkey is it's have you found these T-shaped columns? I know that the very same false door, it's already showing the T, but literally, like T-shaped constructions. Have you found them in Peru?
Of course, there's a museum that is part of the tours in Peru that is on the way from Cusco to Lake Titicaca that is called Pucara. It's Pucara Lithic Museum. You can look for that on the internet. And there's a T-shaped pillar there. When I have taken passengers there that have been in Turkey or like seeing this in documentary or in the Graham Hancock series on whatever channel they saw, they're like, wow, this is the same because it's a T-shaped pillar, and this place, this Pucara Lithic Museum, has also pillars, another pillars with the same animals stick out from the megalith, like the same that you found in Gobekli Tepe. So there's a connection also.
Well, there is. I have even, we have been tapping into, and even there is the code of the Bugosphere, in some of the places. And well, I cannot disclose like a lot of information, so I will move forward to that. But what I want to say is that in Turkey there are also very important symbols and codes. Have you found also the one that you're talking about in the museum in Peru has also engravings, or it's only the pillar, the T-shaped column?
No, it's a column and several animals that are sticking out of blocks and or the pillar. And yeah, there are some round symbols and stuff that some say there is an egg. Some others say there is like the cycle before the fishes started, like long time ago, meaning like the age of the site. And yeah, but yeah, in this side there are many strange stuff to see, and there's also that's the museum, but like some blocks from the museum, there's a huge site. There's an archaeological site where they found that, and there's a lot of blocks and stuff that reminds, yeah, like more like Pumapunku, Tiwanaku, or even stuff from Great Britain.
Stonehenge, by this you
Yeah,
mean like this
yeah,
dolmens and circle stones.
stuff like that.
Wow. Have you found crop circles there? Do you know? Because one recently appeared here in Tula, where like I was like they covered it all up immediately. So, but there was a crop circle. Have found any crop circle there in Peru?
Not that I know. No, I mean nobody tell me about that, and I have not known about it.
Okay.
May, maybe it's because lack of time, or because I have not like going to crop sites. So maybe that's why I haven't not found out.
And what about the type of ishi? Like in Japan, they call it the rocks ishi, and they, have you seen this like monolithic stones that have like codes engraved, but again, like laser cut, like in that level of precision, and they are showing codes like the crop circles. Have you found some of those in Peru?
Not so far.
That will be a very interesting finding. I'm pretty sure that there have to be like I'm seeing them, like it's like they're being shown to me in some of the structures. Like I had a huge connection to the structure, that Stargate structure, I call it that way, that you mentioned, the ancient cave. How do you
And now Powaka,
Naupawaka? Naupawaka. Okay. Naupawaka. Like the Egyptians, they repeat it 3 times and then tran, it's already they already learned it. Okay. So Helder, thank you so much for joining us. So looking forward to our next encounter. And thank you everyone for your beautiful comments. Do you have any? Yeah, a crop circle in Tula. I know they immediately covered it up. Like they wouldn't allow anyone to go and take any samples there. So, I mean, we have been accomplishing a lot of findings, and huge things are coming up. So it definitely is consistent to the level of communication that we have been reinforcing with the Galactics in that place, because um, uh, archaeastronomy wise, at least from the Mexica cosmology, Tula, even if it was not Mexica, but Tula, um, Malinalco, and Teotihuacan were three of the major places, the major sites. Like even the Tula is known for the place where Quetzalcoatl, in which from the place where Quetzalcoatl fled from Earth. Where he took away from Earth and left here. So how important is that? Codes, literal stories, all together. I think that they're pointing out to the huge importance that Tula has now. So whenever you want to come and explore the ancient sites in Tula and Malinalco, just let me know, Helder, and we can organize
that's on
something.
my list. That's on my list. And thank
Okay,
you for inviting me to the show.
my pleasure. So thank you, everyone. Um, until next time. Oh, just before, remember, you're still on time to get your tickets for the Rise of the Guardians. It's going to be awesome. And Sedona, May from the 8th to the 10th, followed by the Day of Being. We're going to do, we have so many surprises for you guys, and we will be disclosing them pretty soon. And then we have the retreat, we have a Stargate activation. Well, we have the alien event in March at LA. We have also the Star Knowledge Conference in South Dakota in June. So, and the upcoming trip. So, more than happy to soon be delivering all the details about the tours. For now, if you want to get your tickets to share a little bit of quality time with me and the other amazing, amazing speakers on stage and not on stage that will be to all together as a soul tribe. The description in below this video, you will find where to get your tickets. So again, Helder, lovely having you here. Talk to you soon,
Thank you.
and everyone, until next time. Hunu.